In 2012 and 13, the state of Illinois was awarded a total of $51.6 million in federal funds through the Race to the Top Early Learning Challenge grant. And these funds are being used to strengthen the training and support of early learning personnel, create and implement the Accelerate Illinois Quality Rating and Improvement System, and align all early care and education programs with high-quality early learning and development standards. The Illinois Board of Higher Education, the Illinois Community College Board, the Illinois State Board of Education, the Center Resources for Teaching and Learning, and the Governor's Office of Early Childhood and Development, in conjunction with the Illinois Early Learning Council's Subcommittee on Higher Education, Learning, and Professional Development, collaborated to offer the Early Childhood Educator Preparation Program Innovation Grants, otherwise known as EPI. We will now hear from three of the consortia of 2- and 4-year institutions who were awarded the first round of grants in 2014. Our first presentation will be by Dr. Sally Beneke of St. Ambrose University, and Catherine, Mailar of Black Hawk College will give us a short overview of their innovative approach to early math, articulation, and other ways to improve educator preparation programs. Please welcome them.
Basically, because I was kind of a geek about this stuff, and maybe you all aren't, but I had come off of the statewide Early Math Advisory Committee, and I was really gung-ho about early math. And this opportunity came into being, and I thought maybe we could get something going with that. And we know, in summary, that in early childhood there's little time devoted to math. There are few experiences with math. Math is mainly incidental in early childhood classrooms, not intentional. Lots of lessons that tend to elicit what kids already know, and doesn't build key foundational skills and processes. And as Sue Bredekamp says, doing calendar every day is not doing math. Can I hear an amen? So we know from research that teachers are most knowledgeable about number sense and pattern and less knowledgeable about ordering, shapes, spatial sense, and comparison. We also know from research now that, this is weird having this behind me. We also know from research now that math is a stronger predictor of later academic success than early literacy. But we've had such a big push for early literacy that in our early childhood classrooms that the curriculum and what goes on during the day is heavily weighted in that direction. And as are our teacher ed programs. So 100% of college graduates in a recent research project felt very confident about teaching reading. Only 10% felt confident about teaching math. And they need to know how to do this. We all know, especially, how many of you actually taught preschool before you became a professor? Right? You have to do everything. Preschool teachers are generalists. So what we decided to do was to structure our project around the National Council for Teachers of Mathematics standards, which would be number and operations, algebra. This is what our teachers, our students, should understand. Geometry, measurement, data analysis and probability, and also these processes. And these processes, I think, are really critical and go to a lot of what Cindy Zumwalt was talking about earlier today, the fact that kids need to be able to explain their thinking. So they need to be able to do problem solving, reasoning and proof, making connections, communicating, and representation. And do you want to see this little example? Yes. Are you up for it? It's really cool. Can you click on it? Let me just give you a little head. This was a kindergartner who made his own iPad EduCreation recording about Tootsie Rolls and candy canes. But you can see in here everything: representation, reasoning and proof, the whole deal. If it works.
There's 4 Tootsie Rolls and 0 candy cane. There's 2, there's one candy cane and
And these are all the 4 ways that I know. So he's actually proven it. And so, I mean, I think that's what we want. And he was talking to another child. He wasn't talking to his teacher or anything like that. So that's kind of where Catherine and I both have students in early math. We both have students who go out and do practicum. And we thought, what could we get going that would improve the practicum experience for our students at the 2-year and 4-year institution setting? So I'm going to let you go now. Okay, and I'll just help you.
We are a 4-way partnership. We have the 2-year school, Blackhawk College, the 4-year institution, St. Ambrose University. And our other 2 partners were one, Jefferson Early Learning Center, which is part of the Moline Public School System. It is a preschool that's set up for students that have special challenges linguistically, physically, socially, emotionally, and cognitively. And then we were a partner with Project Now Head Start, which serves Rock Island, Henry, and Mercer counties. And so many of my students at Black Hawk do a lot of their observations and practicums in the schools in Henry, Mercer, and Rock Island counties, and also at Head Start and Jefferson. And correct me if I'm wrong, St. Ambrose does a lot in particular with placements at Jefferson Early Learning Center. So what we started out was having the faculty and the staff from Head Start and Jefferson Early Learning attend a training, and it was Cheryl with the StarNet that set up a program of training on how to teach math, best practices for teaching math, and how to incorporate math into everyday play experiences. And I think that was probably the most beneficial for those teachers to have sort of a refresher course, and then the teacher's language would then be parallel to the language that Sally and I were using when we were teaching our methods classes. So when our students were working with the teachers, they kind of understood each other a little bit. Another part of the grant was to provide resources, play resources in math, and then a lending library of children's books in math. And so
all
my
the programs got the same thing, you might say that.
Right. We all 4 got the same materials, because that way when my students are learning how to use materials with children, when they go to Head Start or one of the child care centers through Project Now, or if they're at Jefferson, they're seeing the same materials. They already have a comfort level. We have a lending library because of the grant housed at Blackhawk College for my students to use, and that way they're using books that are familiar to the children that are out in the community. So one of the aspects was to try to really strengthen the teacher training and have it be a good partnership with the practitioners in the community, so they could have a little bit better understanding of what they were doing, even though they may use a little bit different wording or a little bit different approaches.
Okay, so there's some of the materials. So we each had a nice collection of materials, the same materials. I don't have a picture of Catherine's students, but here were my pigeons. And one of the things that we did was to purchase camcorders for, you got 8 and I got 8, I think that's what it was, camcorders for our students so that they could engage in this microteach process. The microteach process, without going into a whole big deal, there's an article in Young Exceptional Children about it a couple of years ago. Mickey Ostrowski from University of Illinois developed it, and then basically it's like, okay, you're the student, you plan a lesson, you go out to your site, you videotape yourself doing the lesson, then you come back and you show it to your peers, and you have something you want them to focus on, like, well, did I ask enough open-ended questions, or could I have presented the materials differently? So that the instructor or the faculty person kind of steps back from that. So there was a learning curve just in learning how to use the materials, the cameras. And the other thing that we did was I did have a course release, and I did a lot of videotaping and also wrote microteach guides. And I'm telling you this because these will all be on that Hero website. So I wrote not on every single thing you could ever want to know about math, because of course it's always more than you think it's going to be to do, but I think there are about 10. And what I did was to try to do a little summary about math and then thinking about the developmental trajectories for that particular area of math. Questions that you could ask in those different process areas like representation and communication and reasoning and proof and etc. And then materials that the student could use. And it's about each of these are about 2 pages long, and they'll all be on the Hero website if you want. And then we also did exemplar videos. So we did 2 kinds of videos, and we won't watch this whole video, but if you could just start it and show a little tiny bit of it, that would be good. So what we tried to do was find videos that exemplify.
Sarah, let's look at your cup.
Who's getting that?
Is this one full? How do you know it's full?
On this.
How do you know the water's full?
Hey, it's coming from here.
Because it's filling up?
Yeah.
Can you use this cup to fill up this
I'll
cup?
give it back.
Let's make it go all the way to the top.
I have a.
This cup first.
Yeah, I gotta give it.
Yeah, you can pour it in there. Look, it's full. Now you can use it to fill up your container. Here you go.
Some more.
So you got to get it all the way to the top so it'll be full. And that's 1 cup.
We tried to go for not lessons, but examples of teaching in the moment or incidental teaching, because that sometimes is hard for students to get. We also then did some videos, tried to get videos of just spontaneous moments where kids were engaged in mathematical thinking. So if you could play this one.
Look. This. Now feel.
Look at that one.
Don't get to look. It's the oval. Good job, Nora. Take it out. Yes, it is. Now put one in for me. I got big one. I got big one. Is it in? Yeah. It's a rectangle. Yes, it is.
So there also are some that are in the same video, only in varying lengths depending on what you want. And so some of them are as long as 6 minutes, but you can look at a 1-minute version of the same thing. And we have 2-year-olds in our center, so there are actual examples of 2-year-olds exploring early math. So I hope you guys will be able to use some of that. And we did the microteach process, and I've already told you about that. What happened, I think, that was really cool for us was that we all became friends, and the students ended up going one morning a week to the center, and I went with them to the Jefferson Center, and they got really involved in this center and voluntarily did a math night for families, and even though we may not have the grant, we plan to continue this relationship. So for us, it was really successful. And Catherine and Rachel and Lee, who in the middle of all this had a sister get really sick and had to retire, but we did several presentations. So we did the Sharing a Vision Conference. We did the Quad Cities Early Childhood, right? That's the name of it. We did the Illinois AUYC Conference, and I think we've committed to doing one this next fall. So that's pretty much it for us. Oh no, wait! I have one more thing to say. So I had IRB on this, and I have pre and post surveys on the teachers that we trained, and I just wanted to show you just 3 slides. I mean, there's tons and tons of it, but you can see that the blue is pre and the red is post, and here's the teacher's confidence in their ability to teach early math. Here's their confidence and ability to teach problem solving. And here's the balance in their classrooms between language arts and math.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah.
How did you, can you go back a slide, back 2 slides? Okay. How did you measure that in the next one? How did you measure? What did you use?
It was a survey.
But what, is it something that?
Did you create it?
Yeah, but I'd be glad to give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Mickey Ostrowski and I made it up.
To us?
Yeah, sure. We actually did a table so it wasn't millions of questions where they just would check off. Yeah. Then they could check, they're confident, very confident, somewhat confident, not very confident, like that.
Put it on Hero, right?
Sure.
How many teachers were in there?
Oh, unfortunately, well, actually, there were like, how many were at our training? Like 50? We probably had 50 at our training because the public school people and the Head Start people chose intentionally to have their training together, which was kind of cool.
Right.
And we gave them a pre-survey, and then we gave them a pre-addressed envelope to send back the post.
Send back the post.
So 6 out of 7 of the public school teachers did, and it's much lower for the Head Start.
Okay.
And I really, you know how time is? I haven't had time to mess with it really. So, okay.
That's great, Sally.
Thanks for putting up with us.